Palestinian resistance for the second day in a row is striking Israel. Yesterday they carried out an attack on central Israel, on the Tel Aviv area, with M90 missiles. Today they targeted Asqalan or Ashkelon with several missiles. Israel is saying that they intercepted these missiles, but the Palestinian resistance is now showing that you want war, therefore we will put you in a state of war internally. It's no longer going to just be restricted to Gaza. We're going to cause problems internally. And it didn't just stop with them. Ansarullah, or what's known as the Houthis in Yemen, they started to attack again with a Palestine 2 or Palestine 2 missile being launched on occupied Jaffa. What do these attacks mean, and where are they going with these attacks, especially this new dual front that's coming from Yemen and Gaza? In effect, we have continuous attacks from two, countries that are generally viewed as weak and suffering so much, constant wars against them. Gaza in ruins and destruction. Yemen has been suffering from ongoing war and in many cases famine as well, imposed on it by the United States and its proxies. Yet they are the ones targeting Israel, putting so much pressure on Israel. What is that leading to? Firstly, Yemen and Gaza, their attacks are contributing to a lot of financial and economic pressure inside of Israel. Now, millions of Israelis are going into bunkers because of these attacks. And both Yemen and Gaza are showing that they are, the twin Davids standing up against the twin Goliaths in the form of Israel and the United States, with no one intimidating them. No one is intimidating them whatsoever. And this front is proving to be effective. Although now we don't have a front being opened from Lebanon due to developments in Lebanon and Hezbollah giving time for the Lebanese government trying to take action to have a diplomatic solution to the Israeli occupation of 5 points in South Lebanon, this is still extremely effective, because even in Lebanon, the majority of the residents of the north did not come back because of the continued tense situation, despite the IDF reassuring them. They said no, and the heads of municipalities in the north told the people, no, don't come, it isn't safe, despite what the Israeli army is doing. It's all a show. What's happening now is very effective because it's applying pressure on the heart of Israel. Then we move on to the talks and the threats against Iran. The US President Donald Trump, he has been escalating his tone against Iran. He says that Iran will be held responsible for every fired bullet from Yemen, and he's warmongering against Iran. 2 days ago, we spoke about the suspicious GPS jamming in North Iran, the Iranians having several warships passing the Hormuz Strait days before that. Today, there was a report of intelligence activity of the United States off the coasts of Iran, and Donald Trump declared before that he is intending to send more destroyers to the Red Sea and that region. Iran is viewing all of that very seriously, and despite them trying to have peaceful solutions to all of this and giving time for the ceasefire to be successful, clearly the other side is not playing ball whatsoever. The United States is doing a U-turn on its own agreements. They're allowing Israel, they're pushing Israel for mass murder, and Iran is viewing that as a threat, and now it's clear that there is a genuine threat against Iran. What is the latest response that came from Iran? Well, the latest response came from the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Ali Khamenei, he warned the United States and he told them, you'll get a hard slap if you attack Iran. So he had a speech during which he stated multiple things in relation to, of course, the new year in Iran, the Nowruz. But he also addressed the threats that are facing Iran, primarily from the United States of America and the Trump administration. He said that The US must know that when facing Iran, threats will never achieve anything. The US and others must know that if they commit any malicious act against the Iranian nation, they will receive a severe blow. He continued to clarify about the position of Iran. He said that the interpretation of US and European politicians regarding the resistance centers as Iranian proxies is a major mistake and an insult to these groups, especially when we talk about Ansarullah, Palestine, Lebanon. Why do you label them as proxies? He said the people of Yemen and the resistance hubs in the region have an inner motive to stand against the Zionists, and the Islamic Republic of Iran does not need proxies. Our stance is clear, and so is theirs. When Palestine was first occupied, one of the countries that stood against the Zionist regime's oppression was Yemen, whose ruler at the time participated in an international assembly to oppose the occupation of Palestine. He's also criticizing what the United States is doing with the demonstrators and the popular support for Palestine, saying that Western officials resort to actions such as cutting university funding for students who have protested in favor of Palestine, which of course is also a reflection of their claims regarding the free flow or the freedom of information, liberalism, and human rights. That is showing that Iran is taking it seriously. Firstly, not by having a response to an outright war against Iran, but any malicious act. We need to take the wordings carefully of the supreme leader of Iran, because he means every word he says, and he chooses his terminology very carefully. Any malicious act from the United States will be met with a severe blow or with a hard slap coming from Iran. What could Iran interpret as a malicious act? That doesn't have to be a direct act of war. Iran could view any internal engagements of the United States inside of Iran through proxies, for example, inner terror acts, as malicious acts. Iran could interpret an outright and blunt US support of any Israeli move against Iran as a malicious act. Iran could interpret any financial, potentially, problems that are there to threaten Iran's financial security as a malicious act. It's a word that is open for many interpretations. And this also means that Iran wouldn't necessarily be restricting itself to responding or carrying out a certain operation only as a response to an act of direct warfare coming from the United States against it. Although that is looking more and more likely the more the days go by, because Donald Trump previously, he did not have this approach with Iran. As a matter of fact, he is totally contradicting himself and his previous statements. Donald Trump, when he was asked about the prospect of a war between Iran and the United States, or the Israelis waging a war against Iran and the United States participating with them, he said that's a very far-fetched scenario. We're actually hoping not to reach that stage. We hope that we can reach an agreement with Iran. And at the time, he also said, even if we don't reach an agreement with Iran, I guess that's fine too. So we're seeing a very significant shift from the position of Donald Trump in relation to Iran. And all of that is clearly directed from Benjamin Netanyahu himself. We're not even talking about the state of Israel, by the way. We're talking about one man, Benjamin Netanyahu, using his influence and his power, his leverage against Donald Trump to dictate the full position of the United States in relation to Israel, despite Israel having an internal crisis over the problems that Benjamin Netanyahu is causing to the state of Israel, that the Israelis are describing as an earthquake, and that they are warning from a full-blown civil war inside the state of Israel.